You can send flowers, write a 30-line text, record a shaky-voiced audio, or even hire a plane to sketch a heart in the sky. And you know the impact of that? Zilch. Nada. It's forgotten faster than she ignores the doorman's "good morning," because women don't get swept away by generic efforts ripped from some TikTok self-help guru. They get bored real quick. Now you want to carve your name into her brain without spending a dime? Vanish. Poof! Gone. No heads up, no sappy text, none of that tired "I need space" nonsense that only fools people who still check their horoscope. Disappear like a paycheck after the first week of the month. That's when, my friend, you stop being the clingy lover boy and become the high-value ghost she can't shake from her mind. Because what breaks her cool, my man, isn't a midnight love confession, it's dead silence. It's the "did he die or just get tired of being a doormat?" vibe. Truth is, women can't stand being ignored by someone they thought they had in their pocket. Her ego screams louder than any heartbreak playlist. But then you show up. Version 2.0, limited edition, emotionally bulletproof, with zero patience for soap opera drama. No goodbye note, no low-budget theatrics. You don't react, you evaporate. And in that surgical disappearance, you speak louder than any regretful ex's text novel. The man who masters silence doesn't become Prince Charming. He becomes a luxury haunt. A "why didn't he want me?" that echoes all the way to her therapy sessions. This isn't about being cold. It's about self-control with a dash of emotional savagery. It's knowing you're worth more than scraps of attention and obligatory head pats. Ignoring isn't pettiness, it's strategy. Because the more you explain yourself, the more predictable you become. And predictable, my dude, is just another word for disposable. Desire lives in doubt, in the void, in the "is he already with someone hotter?" While the desperate guy tries to win her over with words, the man who respects himself shuts up. And ironically, it's in the echo of your absence that she starts hearing everything you were screaming when you thought love was about effort. So, jot this down. In this video, you'll learn why indifference is the nuclear bomb of relationships. You'll master how to wield it without guilt, because the real guilt belongs to the one who lost you, thinking you were just another guy. And you'll see that silence, when done right, stings harder than any in-your-face truth, because she'll feel your absence in her bones. But hold up for a quick roast. This video only popped up because someone out there had the decency to like and subscribe, so quit being a digital freeloader and pay it back. It's not for me, it's for the algorithm, that vengeful god that only serves truth to those who hit the like button. Now let's get to the good stuff, because time's short and patience is shorter. Number 1, the nice guy always loses. There's always that guy who thinks love is like a rewards program. The more affection he dishes out, the more points he racks up to eventually cash in for the grand prize being loved back. Cute, right? Too bad the real world doesn't work like that. The nice guy plays like he's in a Valentine's Day commercial. All flowers, texts, attention, and an always-on emotional Wi-Fi. Spoiler, she doesn't even read the texts. And the flowers, they hit the trash with her interest. The nice guy thinks being predictable, constant, and emotionally wide open makes him mature, adorable. Little does he know, he's more like emotional furniture, always there, always useful, always ignored. He replies instantly, takes whatever she dishes out, apologizes for breathing too loud, and still thinks that's proof of love. Nah, buddy. That's proof you've become her emotional doormat. The only thing she stomps harder than the block button. Because what the nice guy never got is that too much presence gets old. You know that lavender scent that's nice at first, but then gives you a headache? That's him. His predictability is as thrilling as watching paint dry. And women, no matter how much they claim to want stability, still crave emotional contrast. Without a little "does he still want me?" it's game over. The nice guy loses because he's too easy, and anything too easy gets boring. He serves himself up on a platter, complete with instructions and a receipt, and he's still shocked when nobody wants him. Why? Because he thinks being a priority is about time. But priority isn't begged for, it's provoked. And the worst part? When things start crumbling, The nice guy doesn't bail. He stays. He doubles down. He suffers with dignity, like that's gonna win him a trophy. He plays all his cards in the first round and expects the other side to play fair. But this game is emotional, psychological, silent. And the nice guy screams too loud. While he thinks he's being mature, he's being predictable. While he thinks he's showing love, he's showing he's got no better options. While he thinks he's building something, he's just a stepping stone for her to climb over and walk away. In the end, he becomes what? Disposable. Not because he's bad, because he's obvious, controllable, too safe. And anything too safe stops being exciting. When it's not exciting, it fades from memory. So, my man, get this straight. The guy who wants to be remembered needs to learn how to be absent, because the nice guy is all presence. And too much presence only leads to one thing, being ignored more efficiently. Number 2, the psychological power of indifference. When a guy stops responding, something magical happens. At first, she breathes a sigh of relief. Thank God the clingy dude got the memo. She thinks you've moved on. Thinks you're done chasing. Thinks. But she's not sure. And that's when the game begins. Because humans, especially the emotionally spoiled, lose it when the spotlight stops shining on them. Her mind, fed by years of free validation, starts glitching like spotty Wi-Fi. Where's the reply? Where's the drama? Where's the 2 a.m. text novel? But now, there's nothing. Just silence. A void so loud it echoes in her ego. And slowly, what was relief turns to unease, then anxiety, then full-on paranoia. Her head becomes a Netflix binge of what-ifs. Is he with someone else? Did he get over me? Did he finally grow a spine and some self-respect? Yup, sweetheart, he's gone. And your silence now screams louder than all your Instagram shade. She starts creeping on your profile, rereading old chats, overanalyzing that "good morning, princess" she used to brush off like spam. Now every comma feels heavy. Every archived message becomes an emotional crime scene. Because the more you vanish, the more present you become. A ghostly presence, sure, but one that messes with her head. You become a shadow in her feed, a thought in the shower, a song on her playlist. Why? Because silence disarms. It offers no resistance, no explanation, no plea to come back. And that, my friend, is top-tier emotional torture. This is the weapon the nice guy never dared to use. The nice guy wants to talk, fix things, show he still cares. The guy who gets the game, he shuts up, he vanishes. Not out of spite, but strategy. Because he knows, the one who stays silent calls the shots. The one who disappears forces the other to face their own emptiness. Let her wrestle with her bruised ego. Let her stew in front of the mirror. Let her imagine 1,000 reasons while you're out there, living your life, unbothered, untouchable. Because believe it, there's no pain worse than doubt. A spoken breakup, she gets over. A clear rejection, she processes. But a disappearance without explanation, that eats away. It doesn't close the loop. It doesn't have a period. It's an eternal comma in her psyche. And that's when the man who masters silence becomes dangerous. Not because he yells, but because he's quiet. Not because he fights, but because he walks away without warning. And the echo of his absence speaks louder than any declaration. Presence gets old, but absence, it's addictive. Number 3, silence, the weapon. No woman expects. Every woman's been trained since day one to handle the desperate guy script, the crybaby, the late-night text novelist, the drunk dialer, the one sobbing to sad country tunes, begging for another chance. She knows how to deal with that. It's familiar turf. She knows how to ignore, how to step on it, how to roll her eyes and say, "You deserve someone better." But then comes a different breed. The guy who doesn't react, doesn't respond, doesn't bite the bait, and boom, her system crashes. Because silence has no subtitles, no question marks, no relief. It's a gut punch void, a deal with your own guilt vibe. And my man, that's when the real show starts. She freaks out. Internally, of course, because on the outside she's playing it cool. But that feed full of shady posts, that's the smoke signal of someone burning inside. Well-played silence is an emotional scalpel. It slices through her inflated ego, hits her untouchable self-image, and throws a truth in her face she never wanted to see. Nobody's control lasts forever. Not even over the most lovesick guy. Because even the softest dude wakes up. Even the most available guy gets fed up. And when he does, he goes quiet. And when he's quiet, she loses it. She tries to keep up the act, posts a smiling selfie, an empowered caption, a TikTok dance in her stories. But her mind's at war. Because silence doesn't leave room for her performance. No audience, no comeback. Just her thoughts, and the ghost of, why did he disappear? Unlike a fight that explodes and fizzles out, silence is an internal implosion, a ticking time bomb she can't defuse. She goes to bed with your absence wrapped around her chest and wakes up second-guessing her own moves. And no matter how much she plays the Ice Queen, she's crumbling, wondering, why didn't he react this time? Why didn't he chase me like always? Simple answer, because you finally realize too much presence is just convenience, and well-placed silence is an emotional revolution. The man who masters this art doesn't argue, doesn't explain, doesn't grovel. He just vanishes, and he watches her unravel from a distance, all while she thought she'd always have the upper hand. Because while she's scrambling to figure it out, he's already a mystery, an absence that screams louder than any over-the-top presence. Number 4, the turnaround. When absence becomes pain. At first, she laughs it off, acts like she doesn't care. Whatever, guys are all the same. Keeps posting selfies with filters, Pinterest quotes about empowerment, and that smirky grin of someone who thinks they're still running the show. But time's a classy sadist. It waits, quietly. And while she struts around with her ego intact, your absence starts doing what no love letter ever could. It hurts. For real. Because absence isn't a bomb. It's poison. It creeps in slow, taints her pride, eats away at her vanity. And one day, without fanfare, it becomes pain. Not the loud, dramatic kind. The quiet, gnawing kind she feels when her head hits the pillow and it sinks in. He's gone for real. No good morning texts, no story views, no begging for another shot, nothing. Zero. Vanished like he was never there, or worse, like she never mattered. And that's when her castle of emotional security comes crashing down. Because let's be real, no woman takes it lightly when she loses control over someone she thought she had on lock. When the guy who was predictable turns into absolute silence, her ego goes into free fall. It screams. Her mind races with questions. Is he with someone else? Did I push him too far? Did he finally get sick of me? Yup, he did, at last. And the more he stays silent, the more she feels it. Pride turns to anxiety. Vanity turns to pain. And the little game that used to be fun, now it's loss. Raw, real, gut-wrenching. Because she starts seeing you everywhere. In that song that used to be just background noise. In the diner you used to hit up. In the profile of every guy who tries to mimic you and fails. Because none of them are you. None of them carry the weight of your absence. And you? You didn't do a damn thing. You just left. You stepped back. You let the void do the heavy lifting, and the silence she thought was weakness, it became strength. Because it's in that silence that she starts to crumble, starts craving a crumb, a word, a hey. Anything to prove she's still got some pull over you, but now she's got nothing. Because you learned. You woke up. You flipped the script. Number 5. The hidden thrill of indifference. Female psychology laid bare. Let's cut to the chase. A lot of women only appreciate you when they lose the emotional toy they thought they controlled. And no, this isn't about love. It's about power, control, dominance. As long as she's sure she can play with your feelings like she's swapping outfits, you're worth less than a crumpled dollar bill. Because what's guaranteed is disposable. And in the female emotional playbook, controlling a guy is worth more than her own self-esteem. It's the golden trophy on her ego's mantle. You beg, she's smirking inside. You chase after being ignored. She feels like a goddess, because every reaction you give feeds her need to believe. I've still got this sucker wrapped around my finger. Plain and simple. But then, one fine day, you figure it out. You stop. You go quiet. You ghost. And just like that, her inner world implodes. Because now the toy that always played along is gone. The control vanished. The guarantee expired. And her mind goes into panic mode. That's the hidden thrill of indifference. The quiet joy of watching the one who called the shots scramble for a reaction that never comes. The female obsession with indifferent men is real. Ancient. Almost primal. Because while the guy who lays it all bare becomes background noise, the one who slips away becomes a challenge, an addiction, a puzzle she's got to solve. And no, this isn't cruelty. It's basic psychology with a splash of reality most people pretend doesn't exist. The stoic, the guy who doesn't flinch, doesn't beg for validation, knows the value of his silence. He becomes a myth, an absence that burns without saying a word. While she plays the seduction game, he's playing the emotional dominance game. And in that game, the one who feels nothing calls the shots. She might date others, post over-it selfies, throw shade with TikTok dances. But at night, alone, she's at war. Because the thrill of control turned into withdrawal. And his indifference became her obsession. She starts stalking, making excuses to text, accidentally showing up where you might be. But the true alpha, he stays untouchable, on his throne, ice cold, unshaken. Because he learned you don't negotiate with someone who treated you like a backup plan. And what really obliterates her ego isn't just the silence, it's realizing he thrived without her. That he didn't need closure, that he didn't bend. Because her real thrill was controlling you. But now, she doesn't even know where you are. Number 6. The unshakable man. How to not react, not explain. Know what a man's real power is. It's not gym muscles or a wordy text rant. It's self-control. Mastery over yourself while the world around you begs for an emotional circus. The unshakable man doesn't step into that ring. He watches, stone-faced, from the VIP section. She pokes. He doesn't flinch. She posts shade thinking it'll get a rise. He doesn't click. She plays emotional games expecting drama. He hits back with silence. Because the ultimate punishment for someone who thrives on control is dealing with a guy who just doesn't care anymore. Every female jab is a test, a ploy to drag you back onto her ego stage where she's the star. But when you don't clap, don't shout, don't toss roses, just watch, she panics. Because she's lost the starring role. And worse, she's lost her audience. The unshakable man doesn't argue, doesn't write farewell letters, doesn't spiral. He doesn't react to stories, doesn't comment on her venom-laced, empowered captions. He sees it all, but responds with the brutal elegance of someone who doesn't need to prove a thing. He's become an emotional ghost with a physical presence, the kind of guy who could cross paths with her, look her in the eye, and still not budge. And that destroys her. Because you can't win a war against someone who won't even fight. This guy doesn't want to win an argument. He wants to win himself. He doesn't need to be right. He needs peace. And peace, my friend, isn't bargained for with someone who only offers chaos disguised as strong personality. The deadliest response? A calm smile in the face of her jabs. A steady gaze while she flails for a reaction. Because the unshakable man isn't numb, he's trained. He's been through the fire of loving someone who only poured gasoline. Now, he's ice. Not out of coldness, but survival. He learned that explaining himself exposes him, fighting back cheapens him, so he shuts up, watches, moves on. Being unshakable isn't being heartless. It's being lethal with class. It's the silence that crushes her ego, because the man who doesn't react runs the show. Number 7. Fatal mistakes. How emotional weakness ruins everything. Some mistakes are so predictable they're almost embarrassing. The guy ghosts for 2 days, musters up some courage, plays the silent monk. Then on day 3 drops a gem like, "Just checking if you're okay." Oh, champ. If you want it to be memorable, congrats. As a punchline. It's pointless to act cold on the outside if you're melting with anxiety inside, waiting for her notification to pop up. That fake indifference that crumbles at one bikini story is the most pathetic thing out there. Because the real mistake isn't disappearing. It's not sticking to your own silence. The guy who breaks character to keep the game alive just proves he never controlled a damn thing. And don't think she doesn't notice. She smells it in the tone of your text, in the speed of your reply, in the forced "I'm chill" act. She knows when your silence was power, and when it was just desperation dressed up as control. And at that moment, the spell breaks. Because the game only works when she believes you don't need her. If she senses your disappearance was just a stunt to get her attention. You're the group chat's new meme. Another classic screw-up, trying to spark jealousy. Posting pics with another girl, hitting up her favorite spots, forcing a "look at me thriving" vibe. That's not indifference. That's toddler tantrum. It's insecurity with a new life filter. The real stoic doesn't need to show off. He doesn't provoke jealousy, he provokes absence. He doesn't play the game, he burns the board. And the third mistake? The love letter disguised as a "let's talk" plea. The text novel. The "I just need clarity" move. You think that's mature? She reads it and thinks, he still doesn't get it. Here's the truth nobody wants to swallow. She knows exactly what she did. She just doesn't care. And the more you chase an answer, the more you grovel. The more you beg. The more you show you need a conclusion she already gave when she ignored you. The truly cold man doesn't ask for explanations. He doesn't need closure. He is the closure. And his silence? It's not a game. It's a choice. Because when he shuts up, he's not waiting for her to reply. He's moving forward. And the best part? The person who deserved an explanation isn't around to hear it anymore. Number 8. The art of vanishing with class. Let's get one thing straight. Vanishing with class isn't blocking her like a petty kid. It's not posting cryptic quotes hoping she'll catch the hint. It's not making a scene to show you're hurt. That's all low-rent drama with a poor me costume. Disappearing with class is next level. It's total silence. A clean, surgical exit. No mess. No trace. No goodbye. No explanation. Because someone who disrespects you doesn't deserve the luxury of your last word. You're not her therapist handing out emotional closure. Vanishing with class is stepping off the stage like you never needed the spotlight. It's shutting down the show with the most powerful move. Silence. It's letting your absence fill every corner where you used to beg to be seen. No warning, no drama, no encore. The man who masters this gets a hard truth. Disappearing coldly is stronger than any argument. Silence is more brutal than shouting. And ignoring, when done with precision, kills more than 1,000 words. He doesn't post forced new life pics. Doesn't react to her stories. Doesn't send a "yo, you good" to test the waters. Nothing. He just ceases to exist in the world that used to consume him. And that absence, my friend, speaks. Loud. Deep. Right where she least expected. Her ego. But here's what separates men from boys. Vanishing with class takes discipline. It takes emotional ice. It takes knowing you don't need to prove a thing to someone who couldn't see your worth when they had the chance. The mistake most guys make. They ghost for 3 days, then relapse like a puppy begging for a pat with a leash around its neck. The man who vanishes with class doesn't come back. He doesn't need to, because he's reborn somewhere else with a new mindset, far from where he was treated like an afterthought. And the final blow? He doesn't close the loop with a text. He closes it with absence. He doesn't justify. He doesn't drop hints. He lets the read receipt turn into a funeral, the ghosting into mourning, the indifference into legend. Because the man who vanishes with class leaves her haunted even by someone who swore they'd never feel a thing. Number 9. Side effects. When she comes back, or disappears for good, every well-executed silence comes with a bonus. Side effects. And no, it's not just the peace you feel from finally stopping the chase for someone who didn't value you. It's the chaos brewing on her end. Because while you're living in silence, she's drowning in doubt. Did he move on, or is he just testing me? And that question is pure poison. Because her ego can't handle not knowing. Can't handle losing control. Can't handle the idea that the guy she tossed aside with a bored emoji is now an emotional enigma she can't crack. That's why so many come back. Not out of love, but out of a bruised ego, out of shattered pride, out of an addiction to controlling someone, who's now vanished without a trace. But watch out, champ, because when she comes back, it's rarely with a, "I messed up, forgive me." Nope. She comes back in test mode, subtle, sneaky, with a lame, "Hey stranger" text that's just a censor. Can I still push this button? If you reply, congrats, you folded. She wins. You're back to being her emotional lapdog, tied up on the porch. If you ignore her, the game becomes her torment, because now your silence is punishment, and she, who used to own the board, doesn't even know the rules anymore. But what if she doesn't come back? That's where most guys screw up, thinking it means she forgot. Nah, genius. It means her pride is bigger than her pain. She'd rather suffer in silence than admit she lost control. But even from a distance, even quiet, she's still carrying the weight of your absence. Because the guy who ghosts without a scene, without a meltdown, without a "I'm out" speech, becomes a mystery, a phantom, an urban legend in her head. And the human brain hates loose ends. So what does it do? It writes endings that never happened. It inflates your importance. It romanticizes your absence. Even if she's with someone new, you're the filter in her mind. She'll compare. She'll look for your calm in their chaos, your silence in their neediness, your presence in the shallow replacements she picked to fill your void. She might block you, pretend she's over it, but the damage is done. Because every woman left in absolute silence, without a response, without a reaction, dreams of the message that never came, and wonders, what would have happened if he'd replied? But you didn't, and that's why, even gone, you never leave her mind. Number 10. The alpha doesn't return. The power of never coming back. Going back is easy. It's tempting. It's that emotional relapse dressed up as just wanna talk. But the alpha, he doesn't return. Because he knows going back isn't romantic. It's dumb with a side of regret. It's diving back into the same toxic script that broke you once, thinking the ending's gonna change. Spoiler, it won't. Going back is replaying pain. It's handing yourself over, gift-wrapped, to the same story that wrecked you. And the guy who's been played before learns. You don't negotiate with the past. He doesn't fix things. He ends them. He slams the door shut with no cracks and locks it with silence. Because going back is predictable. It's being the guy who can't resist. The one who always returns, always replies, always gives another chance. And the alpha? He killed that version of himself. He doesn't need to say he's over it. He shows it with permanent absence, with elegant disregard, with the coldness of someone who learned nostalgia isn't worth reopening scars. And that's what shatters her ego most, realizing the guy she had on a leash just vanished. Not to mess with her, but because he stopped needing her, stopped begging for attention, stopped offering himself up. And her mind, it spirals, because she expected anything except eternal silence. Don't kid yourself. He doesn't come back to gloat. The true alpha doesn't need to rub it in that he leveled up. He is the level up. He's so far out of reach he becomes a benchmark. The what if that never fades. The shadow hanging over every new relationship she tries. Because no one else carries the weight of the absence he left. The man who doesn't return becomes a legend, a memory that stings, a standard impossible to match. And that is final. Because the alpha knows someone who didn't value you when they had you doesn't deserve you when they miss you. And the past that hurt you doesn't get a ticket to the future you built alone. He doesn't return because he doesn't need to. Number 11. Phrases and attitudes that kill female power in its tracks. Real impact doesn't come from yelling, it comes from disregard. The cold man doesn't need to curse or slam tables. He kills her ego with one weapon, no reaction, because nothing fuels her emotional empire like knowing she still gets under your skin. She throws shade, pokes, provokes, accidentally shows up to test you. And if you bite, game over. You just confirmed you're still on her leash. But when she finds you unmoved, solid as a rock, emotionally locked down, her ego starts to shake. That's where the killer attitudes come in. Never ask why. Asking, why'd you ghost? Why'd you pull away? Why'd you treat me like that? Is emotional groveling. It makes you small. The alpha takes silence as a verdict and moves on. No subtitles needed for disrespect. Never respond with neediness. She says, "You've been quiet?" Most guys hit back with, "Missed you too," thinking it'll melt her. Nope, champ. You say, "Been at peace." Short, savage, clean, because peace isn't shared with someone who brought war. Never compliment to get scraps. Throwing out praise to fish for attention is the most pathetic move a weak guy can make. The cold man compliments with absence. And if he has to say something, try. Life taught me to stop chasing where I only got shade. That's it. A punch without lifting a hand. Visual control is emotional control. Want to drive her nuts with curiosity? Stay out of sight. Don't watch her stories. Don't like her posts. Don't even lurk from a burner account. Because the guy who creeps feels, and the guy who vanishes becomes a legend. Legends haunt. Never show anger. Anger says she still owns your emotions, that she's still got a key to your head. The cold man responds with the most lethal tone. Whatever. The passive ice that screams, "You don't get to me anymore," and that kills you more than any outburst. Because at the end of the day, real male power isn't about controlling her, it's about controlling yourself in her presence. That's where the psychological terror lives, when she realizes she can't move you anymore. Her empire of ego crumbles. No noise, no warning. And the alpha, he just watches, in silence. Number 12, the legend of the cold man. How to become a benchmark and a ghost. The guy who feels too much. He's a lukewarm memory. The one who begs too much. He's the group chat's punchline. The one who chases. Just another statistic. But the cold man, oh, he's a legend. Because he didn't cry, didn't grovel, didn't seek closure. He did one thing. He vanished. Yesterday, he was there, present, available, maybe too invested. Today, nothing. No explanation, no signal, no reaction. And that's exactly what makes him an emotional nightmare. He left like he never existed, and left a void not even time can fill. His absence is loaded with questions no one can answer. Did he forget me? Did he feel something and hide it? Was it all an act? His silence is torture, because the cold man doesn't offer relief. He offers emptiness. And emptiness echoes. He never sent that final text, never tried to sort things out, never posted a sob story, never showed up with a relapse. He became a period where she wanted a comma, and her mind, it loops. Because the human brain hates unfinished stories, but he left without giving her the courtesy of an ending. That's what makes him a legend. The name nobody says, but everybody feels. The face that creeps into dreams years later. The look she searches for in others, but never finds. Because the cold man left something no one else could. The mystery of absolute absence. She moved on, sure. Dated others, obviously. But that silence, it stayed. Because he didn't say goodbye. He just left. No fanfare, no spectacle. Just a trail and a trauma. The cold man isn't unforgettable because he's perfect. He's unforgettable because he's unpredictable. While others beg, he vanishes. While others repeat, he innovates. He's the only one who didn't need closure, and that's why he never left her mind. Because every woman's had a guy she forgot, but she's also had one she never got over. Cruel conclusion. Your new self starts in silence.
Enough! Seriously, enough! Stop playing the emotional clown in a circus where you're the only one buying a ticket. Stop chasing someone who's already sprinting the other way. Stop explaining your existence to someone who can't even read a hey without thinking it's a pickup line. Stop proving your worth to someone who can't see their own reflection without a filter.
You weren't born to be a consolation prize. You were born to be a collector's item. And respect, my man, isn't begged for on WhatsApp. It's demanded with surgical coldness and deafening silence. As long as you keep reacting like a rejected teen, explaining, pleading, groveling, you'll stay the court jester of her ego. But the day you zip it and vanish like you left without a goodbye, that's the day the game flips. And it flips hard. Silence is your bulletproof armor. It's your answer that roars without making a sound. It's your gourmet revenge. No finger lifted. No broken heart emojis needed. It's freedom, raw and real. Because silence shatters emotional games like glass. Clean, quick, no regrets. You don't need to be heard by someone who only listens to their own voice. You need to vanish like you've said it all without saying a word. No explanation, no manual, no sappy story post. Leave like you know the value of your time and won't waste another second on someone who only added frustration. And that's when the real chaos starts. But not for you, for her. Because the one who treated you like trash will have to face the echo of the void you left. The one who mocked your effort will chew on their own disregard until it turns to guilt. But that only happens if you stay in character. No relapses. No just one text. No damn hope you're okay. Let it go. She can pray to the patron saint of ghosting. You don't win by posting a happy selfie. You win by disappearing like you already did. By rebuilding in silence while she squirms, trying to figure out when she lost a man who never looked back but never left her mind. The man who learns to shut up doesn't become an ex. He becomes a mystery, a weight on her conscience, a permanent itch. He doesn't beg, he leaves a mark. He doesn't return. He haunts. He becomes the memory that stings on rainy days with cheap wine. And that man, that upgraded you, it starts now. No teaser, no warning. No tears. He just vanishes. And the silence, it screams louder than any begged "I love you."